Ah, Charlie Brown. You know she's going to move the football every single time. I just don't understand why he falls. Hey! You're back again. I knew you'd come back. Well, since you're here, I have a question. What do Jack Nicholson, Jared Leto, Joaquin Phoenix, and Heath Ledger have in common? Well, I'll tell you what. All four of those actors did a very different, unique depiction of the Batman villain, the Joker, in major motion pictures. They all did amazing jobs. Now, who did it best? Well, it's open for debate. But I can tell you one thing. It was Heath Ledger. So before Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight, which was the second installment on his Batman trilogy, was released in 2008, they were doing promotions for the movie. And when I heard Heath Ledger was playing the Joker, I didn't think much of it at all. But then I saw the first photo of him when they were promoting the Joker character in costume. It was a picture of him just sitting in a jail cell with the costume, the smeared makeup, and the most crazy look in his eyes. I thought to myself, this guy is going to kill this part. So all the big stars were out in 2008 for the 81st Annual Academy Awards. It was that point in the show when they were about to nominate Best Supporting Actor. And the actors that were up for the award were Robert Downey Jr., Josh Brolin, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Michael Shannon, and Heath Ledger. He was being nominated for his role as the Joker in The Dark Knight. The winner was announced, and it was Heath Ledger. Now, the sad part is, he wasn't even there to be able to accept his award. We're going to go back a little bit, and we're going to tell you how we got to that point. How did we get to that point at the Academy Awards that night? Well, we're going to start on April 4th, 1979. That's the day that Heath Andrew Ledger was born in Perth, Western Australia, to a Sally Ramshaw, who was a French teacher, and Kim Ledger, who was a race car driver and a mining engineer. When Heath was young, he went to a Marysmount Primary School in Gooseberry Hill. He would later move on to a Guildford Grammar School. It was there that he actually got his first acting experience. He ended up starring in the school production of Peter Pan. So when Heath was 10 years old, his parents split up. And when he was 11, it was official. They were divorced. No more. Now, he had an older sister named Kate, who he looked up to a lot. He says he was so close to his sister Kate, who was actually an actress herself. He said that's who inspired him to start doing stage productions and get into acting. His father would later remarry, and he'd have another sister, a half-sister named Ashley. His mother would also remarry. He'd have another half-sister named Olivia. I can absolutely relate to Heath. That's the thing about these celebrities. How can we relate to them? Because they're just human like the rest of us. You know, I have one sister, same mom and dad, and then when my dad later split up with my mom, he had 2 more daughters. So I'm in the same boat as Heath. 3 sisters. 2 of them are half-sisters. So when Heath Ledger was 16 years old, that's when he dropped out of school and decided he was going to pursue acting full-time. Him and his best friend since 3 years old, a guy named Trevor DiCarlo, loaded up and left Perth to head to Sydney, Australia, because it was a bigger city. But he ended up turning around and coming back to Perth because he got a gig in a show called Clowning Around. He was going to be in the first part of a 2-part series. Now, from 92, when he got Clowning Around, till 97, he was in all kinds of Australian TV shows and movies. Nothing major, but his name was out there. But it was 1999, he got a role in a crime drama called Two Hands. It was a big Australian movie. But there was another movie in 1999, and it was his first big movie in the States, called 10 Things I Hate About You. So 10 Things I Hate About You is one of my favorite movies. I think it's an awesome movie, and I remember when it came out, it was 1999, and I remember all the trailers leading up to its release. It was just the style of movie that I liked at that time. And the following year, he got to star in a movie called The Patriot. Now, Heath is an Australian. He was an up-and-coming actor. He got to work with another Australian actor who had already paved the way, Mel Gibson. He played Mel Gibson's son in this movie, and he did an awesome job. The following year, he got to be in a movie called Monster Ball with Billy Bob Thornton, Halle Berry. This movie was kick beep. You know what I mean. That movie was awesome. So you imagine 10 Things I Hate About You, The Patriot, and Monsters Ball. You just did 3 great movies, and the latter 2, you got to start to work with some great actors. So now you're really getting your feet wet. So the same year that Monster Ball was released, he released another movie. It was a movie called A Knight's Tale. Another one of my favorite movies, and Heath Ledger was awesome in this movie. I remember A Knight's Tale. I would watch it over and over and over again, and it was So freaking awesome. I love that movie. Heath Ledger did amazing again. Now here's my thing. The next 4 movies he released, I wasn't a big fan of. It was a movie called Four Feathers, The Order, Ned Kelly, and Casanova. I watched them all. Out of those 4, Casanova to me was probably the best one. He did a great job, but his next movie, he was getting back on top again. So when 2005 rolled around, Heath Ledger had 3 movies hit the big screen that year. Now, the first one was The Brothers Grimm. He worked with Matt Damon. Now, all it is a live action movie of all the fairy tales that the Brothers Grimm wrote. Amazing movie, great special effects, cool. Then, Lords of Dogtown. Now, this one means a lot because this was about the Z-Boys out there in California when skateboarding was just starting to get big. And it's so cool. I mean, the way the movie was filmed, the style in which the cinematography was, great movie, and the character that Heath Ledger plays was awesome. He did that a great role. Now, the third movie that dropped in 2005 for Heath Ledger, it was a little movie called Brokeback Mountain. So, I was 17 years old when Brokeback Mountain came out. Now, the friends that I hung out with and a lot of people my age, when they knew what Brokeback Mountain was about, if you told them you'd seen it, you'd get made fun of. It was a pretty sad, based on what the content of the movie is about, that if people admitted to seeing it, they were getting made fun of just because of what they knew the movie was about. But really, just because you thought you knew what the movie was about, you really didn't. The storyline in this movie was great. I think it was a brilliant movie, and Heath Ledger did a great job. He played a ranch hand who ends up having a love affair with a rodeo rider played by Jake Gyllenhaal. Now, these 2 men end up falling in love, and a lot of people thought it was a bad movie. I'll tell you right now, it was a great movie. And I'll tell you what, Heath Ledger should have got an Oscar for that movie. 1. And 2, that really shows his dedication to the skill of acting. He is a heterosexual man, and he played this part of a gay man. And he did a great job at it, and he made it seem so realistic. Now, I give him a lot of credit. That's what acting, I think, is all about. If you can take a role like that and make it seem so realistic, then that just shows the level of skill you have in the craft. In 2006, Heath Ledger stars in a movie called Candy. This is a very good movie. It's based on a 1998 novel. It's about him and his love interest. They're 2 young heroin addicts, and the movie's about them really trying to attempt to get off the drugs and live a normal life. And then the next year in 2007, he stars in a movie called I'm Not There. This is a weird movie because him and 6 other actors, they're all portraying Bob Dylan to depict his life. But it's weird because they're all playing Bob Dylan. So in 2008, when The Dark Knight hit theaters, this movie was amazing. I saw it 4 times while I was in the theater. And I cannot tell you how many times I saw it when it came out on DVD. But I tell you one thing, the movie was amazing. It's from start to finish, it's non-stop action. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. The storyline's great. Christopher Nolan's a great director. I mean, this movie was so fascinating. I mean, every actor in the movie did a fascinating job. They all played their parts well, but Heath Ledger's part as the Joker, he absolutely, in my opinion, stole the show. I think this is one of the greatest performances of all time, and he absolutely deserved an Oscar for it. No doubt. Great movie. Good job, Heath. So it was around 3 p.m. on January 22nd, 2008. Heath Ledger was expecting his massage therapist to show up, and when she did, his housekeeper let her in. Both women went to the room where Heath was, and they found him unconscious, in his bed, not breathing. So, for some reason, they called Mary-Kate Olsen, which was a good friend of Heath's, to explain the situation, but she was in Los Angeles at the time. So she called her personal security guard who was in the area to go over and check out what was going on. They waited about 15 minutes, so around 3:26, they got 911 on the phone. They explained the situation, and the 911 operator encouraged the massage therapist to start giving him CPR. And she did. She tried to resuscitate him with no luck. Shortly after, the ambulance finally arrived, and at the same time as the ambulance arrived, Mary-Kate Olsen's security guard arrived as well, so they arrived together at the same time. And that is when the paramedics started to take over. They started delivering CPR and trying to resuscitate Ledger. They tried and tried. It was around 3:36 that they pronounced Heath Ledger dead at the age of 28. So I don't know what the extent of Heath Ledger's drug use was. I do know it was portrayed bad because they did find a bunch of prescription medications when they showed up that day. But when the autopsy was done, he did take prescription meds and he took a bad combination. That's what ultimately took his life. That's why he stopped breathing that day and he eventually died. But, you know, I don't know if he was a bad drug addict. I know there's reports, there's rumors of things that he was doing. And who knows? But he definitely was portrayed bad, but we don't really know. We might not ever know. But I know one thing, we did lose a brilliant actor and a great talent that day. So here's my message to anybody out there that has goals or dreams and wants to do something. You got to go for it. Heath wanted to be an actor. He went for it. He dropped out of high school to pursue it. Don't know if he was fully supported by his parents at the time, but he went for it. And I'm sure at some point he got their trust because he did it. He pursued it and he did it. Now, there's a different thing. Right now, there's the YouTube platform and there's other platforms out there that you can pretty much, in a sense, make your own luck. You can get out there, put yourself out there, and go for something big. If you want it, and pursue it, and you work hard at it, it's gonna happen. It's the bottom line. It's just the old cliche, but people say it's cliche because they don't try hard enough to do it. If you're really gonna try, you can get there. And that's why I say to you, anybody out there that has something they want to do, please, I'm encouraging you to go for it. You gotta do it. There's nothing wrong with having your voice heard. You can do anything you put your mind to. Now, some things might be a little harder to reach as far as goals that are attainable. You might have to climb a higher mountain, but who cares? If in the end you know you're going to get to what you want, keep going. But anyway, that's the story of Heath Ledger in a small nutshell. But I love Heath Ledger. I think he was an amazing actor, one of my favorite actors of all times. And I have a small list of actors that I think are great because I love pretty much all of their work. There's some actors, I don't really like everything they do, but they do have some good movies. But the people that I can sit there and say that I can watch every single one of their pieces of work and enjoy it, I think those are great actors. But that's for me. Doesn't mean everybody else will agree with me. But like I said, get out there, go for your dreams. This is the American Dream Channel, and I want you to go out there. I need you to like and subscribe to the channel because that's going to help me grow. The more likes you give me and the more subscribers I get, that's going to help the channel grow, and it'll put me out there to a more vast audience. That's my goal, and I'm going to keep working at it. If people enjoy the content, please support the channel. But like I said, American Dream Channel, everybody, you know what we do. I need you to go out there. I need you to dream big. Until next time, thank you.